Well, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, my name's Chris Estus. I serve as the pastor of recovery at Alamo Heights United Methodist Church in San Antonio. I'm a licensed local pastor, and as you may have heard, I spent the better part of the last year as the 2021 Appalachian Trail through hiking chaplain for the Holston Conference of the United Methodist Church. And I'd like to thank Pastor Bob for inviting me here, and I'd like to thank you for welcoming me here, and for the tech crew also for everything they've done here with my photos. It's lovely. It's really wonderful. I really appreciate it. So also my trail name is Bone Spur the Chapalachian. All right, Bone Spur the Chapalachian. So in light of that and my appointment as an LLP, just for today, you can refer to me as the Reverend Bone Spur the Chapalachian. All right, you can do that. That'd be awesome. All right, this morning I'd like to talk to you about the Appalachian Trail, the chaplaincy, and how trusting the Lord in all my ways and leaning not on my own understanding led me there to the trail. The Appalachian Trail, and since we're south of the Mason-Dixon line, that's how we say it, Appalachian, right? People in the north say Appalachian, or even like New Jersey and Long Island, they say Appalachian. You imagine that? That's how they say it there, but we say it Appalachian. Let me hear you say it loud and proud. Appalachian. Very good, yeah. We've got the South in our mouth here, don't we? Absolutely. Anyway, the Appalachian Trail, or the AT, is a 2,193.1 mile continuous footpath that traverses the Appalachian Mountains through 14 states in the eastern United States. Now the states, going in the order that I did them, are the following, and let me see if I can do this from memory. All right? West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. That was going northbound. And then I flipped back down, and I started again. West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. I think that's 14, right? Yeah, I did it by memory. You know, I could see in my mind's eye places all along the way as well. So why did I list them in that order? Well, there's a variety of ways that people hike the Appalachian Trail. The traditional route is northbound, or NOBO, from Springer Mountain, Georgia, that's northwest of Atlanta, to Mount Katahdin in north central Maine. The vast majority of thru hikers do it that way, starting in February and March and finishing 5 to 7 months later. Now, a smaller group does the trail southbound, or SOBO, starting in Maine in June or July and finishing in Georgia. Now, an even smaller group of very special hikers, like Bone Spur the Chapalachian, do what is called a flip-flop through hike. Usually flip-floppers start in April or May in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, near the midpoint of the trail, and head north for 3 to 4 months, and then flip back down to Harpers Ferry and go south to Georgia for 2 to 3 months. Now, my licensed local pastor's school was in mid-May last year, so it made sense for me to do the flip-flop, since I couldn't start till late May. In addition to allowing me to finish the school, doing the flip-flop allowed me to take advantage of ideal weather for most of the trip. I also experienced the fall colors in Maine in September and in the Shenandoahs in Virginia in October. Now, no matter which way one travels, a successful through hike means walking every step of the trail in either direction within 1 year of the start. I accomplished just that on January the 15th of this year. And trust me, no one is more surprised than me. No one. Yeah. Now, while 3 million people per year visit the trail, most are day hikers or section hikers. Each year, just 4,000 people attempt to through hike. And historically, only 20% complete the journey. Since Earl Schaefer became the first successful through hiker in 1948, around 21,000 people have completed the trail. Interestingly, around 21,000 people have ever won an Olympic medal. So think about that. So from now on, it's okay for you to refer to me as an Olympian-like endurance athlete. That's right. You can think of me in those terms as well. That's all right. Now, the Appalachian Trail Chaplaincy is an ongoing outreach ministry of the Holston Conference of the United Methodist Church. The Holston Conference includes Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, and North Georgia. Each year since 2013, the ministry has commissioned a chaplain to through hike the AT and offer spiritual strength, comfort, and encouragement to fellow hikers. I was the 9th through hiker chaplain. I considered it my mission to be a loving, listening, non-reactive presence with people on and off the trail. I also considered it a personal goal to talk to every single person I came across. I probably talked to over 1,500 people, much to the chagrin of my various hiking partners along the way for the 8 months that I slowed down by doing that. So, how does a mild-mannered recovery minister and businessman like me become a chaplain and successful through hiker of the Appalachian Trail? Well, trust me, not because I dreamed it up and set my eye on the prize. It happened because I have learned to make myself available to trust the Lord in all my ways and lean not on my own understanding. How so, Bonespur the Appalachian, you might ask? Well, by asking, listening, and then acting. Asking God in prayer, listening with an open mind, and acting on what I heard by doing the next right thing. As I mentioned, I am the pastor of Recovery Ministries at Alamo Heights. I've also been a sober member of an anonymous 12-step fellowship for people that drink too much since 1999. There, I have had it drilled in me to first pray, ask God. I've asked God to keep me sane and sober first thing in the morning, every day for almost 23 years. And God has done it. In the summer of 2020, I completed the 485-mile Colorado Trail between Denver and Durango. And I've learned today that Pastor Bob has completed the same journey. Wondering where to hike next, I asked God in prayer, God, where do I hike next? And then I waited. 2 months or so later, my 12-step sponsor, Dr. Bill, called out of the blue. In recovery, we have sponsors who are part mentors, part spiritual advisors, and part drill sergeants. And Dr. Bill is all three. On the phone call, Dr. Bill said, you know, Chris, you need to hike the Appalachian Trail and share good news with the people on the East Coast. They sure need it. I told him, yeah, I'll get right on that. Goodbye. Click. Appalachian Trail, yeah, sure. The most difficult of the long trails. What about my business, my ministry? How do I do it physically, logistically, emotionally? I filed that into the no way department. A month later, I was looking at Facebook, first thing in the morning, as you do, and I saw the following announcement. Appalachian Trail Chaplaincy seeking applicants for 2021 through hiking chaplain, with a link to the application. Really, God? I clicked the link and looked at the application. The first requirement was that the applicant have familiarity with recovery ministry. You're joking, right? Then I saw it was a Methodist ministry, and I met every other qualification. Okay, God, I'm listening. Now it's time to act. I did the next right thing. I asked my wife, Pat, for permission. As I'd like to say, the board of the chaplaincy made a mistake, and they picked me. This started the journey of surrender that I've been walking. From that point forward, it seemed that God had put the right people in my path to make my path straight up and down the trail. In my business, a woman named Vanessa Ritchie with 25 years experience in my industry showed up and partnered with my wife to make the business thrive. In ministry, James L., a member of Laurel Heights United Methodist Church with 20 years recovery, took my Pioneer Group recovery ministry at Alamo Heights and at Haven for Hope, and it thrived. This was a real gift to me. I'd been tied to my business for 38 years and to the ministry for 20. One day in Connecticut, I was sitting on a rock eating my lunch of dried figs from Costco and dried beef sausages from South Africa and a Cliff Bar. And I noticed emails on my phone. And I thought to myself, not only do I have to not respond to these emails, I don't even have to read them. I thought, wow, this is what freedom tastes like. First time in 38 years. More, Lord, more. How did this happen? Feeling this freedom, sensing it. By me reading another book about how to relax and prosper in business? No. By asking, listening, and acting. Trusting the Lord in all my ways and leaning not on my own understanding. Let me share some slices of life on the trail. First, what's with the name Bone Spur, the Chapalachian? Well, hikers usually adopt trail names while hiking the trail. They're often descriptive or humorous. Do you have a trail name? What is it? The handsome gentleman? Is that what you said? Oh, Pastor Bob, the handsome gentleman. Yeah, they're often descriptive or humorous. Frequently, one of your hiking partners gives it to you. Fresh Air is a hot air balloon photographer. I gave her trail name. Carjack stole her towed car back from an impound lot after a Grateful Dead show. My friend Somewhere gave herself her name because she didn't want a name like her friend, Snot Rocket. Another way to get a trail name is to do something stupid in front of someone and you get one. My friend Dirty Pasta spilled her Knorr side dish into the dirt in front of a group of people and then ate it anyway. I became Bone Spur on the Colorado Trail because I have a bone spur on my right foot and I love the San Antonio Spurs. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yeah. I gave myself the additional name, the Chapalachian, on the AT because that was my role. That leads me to what did life look like on the trail? Now, the Appalachian Trail is very difficult. 2,193.1 miles is a very long way. The terrain is frequently rocky, rooty, muddy, wet, slick, steep, snowy, you name it. There's rarely any flat sections. I often ask the question, is the trail a stream or is the stream a trail? Because sometimes it was both going on at the same time. The answer to that question is yes, both. I fell a lot. Here's some hard-won wisdom. I didn't fall every time I had my phone in my hand, but every time I fell, I had my phone in my hand. Right? Some hard-won wisdom there. It seemed I was always ascending or descending. It seemed that way because I was. Frequently, these climbs would lead me to what we call pointless ups and downs. It can be disappointing to spend 2 hours on a 2,000-foot vertical ascent only to be enveloped in trees or clouds when I got to the top. The lesson I learned from experiencing this many times is this. There's always a view, you just need to know where to look. There's always a view, you just need to know where to look. Sometimes the view is a spectacular 360-degree panorama of the White Mountains of New Hampshire. and the moving fog and clouds and sunlight changing the view from moment to moment. Sometimes the view is of the seemingly endless peaks and lakes of Maine. And sometimes the view is a multicolored carpet of autumn leaves. There's always a view. You just need to know where to look. I experienced every type of weather, from stifling hot and humid in New York in July to knee-deep snow in Georgia in January. From weeks of spectacular 70-degree sunshine to days of rain. July in Vermont brought Tropical Storm Elsa, and more rain than that state has experienced in years. Vermont's nickname is Vermud in dry years. This year featured ankle-deep mud and shin-deep water for 100 miles. I also experienced spectacular sunrises and sunsets, the sky red across the entire horizon. Creation itself screamed of God's glory and goodness every day. If I was camping, I carried a lightweight tent, sleeping pad, quilt, a stove to boil water for coffee and to meals, rain gear, extra clothes, first aid, toiletries, and other essentials. My base weight was around 20 pounds. Food and water could increase the weight to more than 30 pounds. Now, the trail has more than 250 shelters and campsites for hikers. These shelters are generally open, three-walled wooden structures with a wooden floor. Shelters are usually spread a day's hike or less apart, most often near a water source and with a privy, mercifully. They generally have spaces for tent sites in the vicinity. There are often bear boxes, hanger poles, or pulley devices to keep our food away from the critters, particularly rodents. Some people love camping. I'm not one of those people. Some people love sleep. I'm sure Pastor Bob, he loves sleeping on the ground or next to a snoring hiker in a shelter, eating ramen and Skittles and Snicker bars and not showering for 4 days. Right? I'm not like that. I'm not one of them. I'll do it, but I don't love it. I did it. In fact, once in Maine, I camped for 5 days and 4 nights in a row. Generally, however, I tented or stayed in a shelter only when necessary. Fortunately, the AT provides plenty of opportunities to live more in the style I'm accustomed to and I prefer. There are many hostels, motels, bed and breakfasts, huts, and lodges available near the trail. I can spend between $20 and $90 a night and enjoy a bed, shower, laundry, heat, air conditioning, frequently breakfast and/or dinner, Netflix, rides to stores or restaurants, Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and other essentials. I also spent a total of 20 nights at the homes of United Methodists who support the ministry. Overall, I spent 20% of my time camping and the other 80% indoors. Now about ministry on the trail. I began each day on the trail with Father Michael's prayer. Father Michael Judge was the chaplain of the New York City Fire Department and tragically one of the first fatalities on 9/11/2001. He was also a 30-year sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. In his pocket, he carried the following prayer: Lord, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say, and keep me out of your way. My job, I started every morning reading that. And so my job the rest of the day, or praying that actually, my job the rest of the day was to talk to people, listen, act, and stay out of God's way. Whoever I came across on the trail, in camp, or at the hostel, I would talk to. I would usually ask them their name, introduce myself, and go from there. Now, being the Chapalachian would usually bring a laugh and inspire a question. People were genuinely interested and impressed that the United Methodist Church would send a chaplain out on the trail every year. I was impressed with the number of church people in general and United Methodists in particular. Frequently, I would pray with people right on the trail. Now, another conversation starter were the patches I wore on my shoulder strap. One of the patches is for the chaplaincy. The other patch identified me as a friend of Bill W. Now, Bill W. is the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. For people in recovery, that patch identified me as the person they could talk to and they could talk recovery with. This is particularly important for people like me. We have a saying, quote, "Meeting makers make it." When I'm home, I go to a 12-step meeting nearly every day. Most people in recovery operate on a similar schedule. Spending 8 months on a trail in the middle of rural America makes it difficult to attend many meetings. Although we were frequently in town, the towns are small and usually only had one meeting a week. If the meeting was Friday and I was in town on a Tuesday, I was out of luck. My Bill W. patch led to dozens of impromptu meetings on the trail, in camp, and in the hostels. Now, trusting in God in all my ways by asking, listening, and acting led to a very fruitful ministry experience for me and for others. All I had to do was show up and then stay out of God's way. Now, you can do the same. You don't have to be a superhuman Olympian-like endurance athlete like Bone Spur the Chapalachian. You are the Chapalachian of your own trail. Your street, your neighborhood, your school, your family, your church, your workplace. By trusting the Lord in all your ways and leaning not on your own understanding, you can be the loving, listening, non-reactive presence this world needs. Just ask. First, pray. Listen with an open mind. Act, starting with the first thing, the first step, the first word, the first phone call. Do the next right thing. Your Appalachian Trail is the path right in front of you. Amen.